Welcome everyone, this is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Sunday, December 6th, 2020, and today's topic is called Skywatch On. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening November 14th through the 30th, 2020. And before we get into those sky observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonya, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, and guten dag. And today's little starter image of nature is of a duck perched high up in a tree. I hadn't quite seen something like this before, but I think the duck has the right idea of gaining a different perspective and kind of as it's surveying the land there. Alright, so now on to the sky observations. This time I'm going to kick it off with nighttime observations, which I haven't done in a while. Have a little disclaimer for you. Yes, these are all totally fuzzy and out of focus, but they're just communicating a basic idea. So the upper images are of a moon at waxing crescent phase, illumination at 15%, and then below we have a line of phases of color play happening with the dog star Sirius. And so as we move along, we go from warmer tone and then red, violet, even green. And to the naked eye, it was flashing through the sequence really beautifully. So these are both taken just with a telescope and then using an iPad on video mode, taking footage, and then these are just isolated frames, stills from that footage. So if you're not familiar with Sirius, it is called the dog star because it's referring to where it sits in the constellation Canis Major. Anyway, let's move along. Alright, so this particular photo, you're going to see enhanced photo on some of these things and original photo. So if you have watched any of my shows before, you have an idea of what I'm talking about, and welcome back. And if you're new, I'll just explain really quickly, and thank you for joining me on the show. Enhanced or enhancements is simply referring to that I've altered and edited the attributes of the photo only, so things like brightness, color saturation, and contrast. So that's it, just to draw out or highlight some areas of the photo of interest that we're going to be talking about. So in this case, it's just a red-pink glow at sunset because we see this red-pink signature. And to get an idea of what might be causing that in the atmosphere, I invite you to look at my description box below, where I cover many different theories of what could be causing this. And as always, I invite you to look at other YouTube channels of sky watchers and earth watchers around the world who are really catching a lot of interesting things with direct observation evidence, and look at some of the theories that they have, and then maybe put this all together for yourself of what could be happening in our skies these days. Alright, this one's just called Pink Clouds East, Northeast at Sunset. Have the original above, the enhanced photo below. And what's interesting about this is that we are looking northeast and east direction at a sunset. So the opposing side didn't really have vibrance like this happening yet. It was happening at the east-northeast direction. So that's just a question, what could be causing that. And also the shape of the clouds is very interesting. So I've been looking very intently at the skies, observing things for over 2 years now. And just over time, seeing what I've been seeing, if you look at some of my other shows, I do show cloaking craft with actual machine parts sticking out. If you look at the show called Off-Field Sunset, I've got great examples there where I could even trace exactly over a craft with its machine parts sticking out. In this particular show, I don't have as much of that evidence. I'm only documenting whatever presents itself each week and what I can get to. But in this case, I've been looking long enough to suspect that this might be a cloaking craft. And again, if you look at some of my other shows, you'll see why. Alright, this is called Odd Color Form at Sunset. Left is the original, right-hand side is the enhanced photo. And what's interesting here is we've got a lot going on the more you look. So we've got some ripple effect happening in here. What really caught my attention was that we have warm signature happening below, and then it got really bright up above to the point where this is cool like white-blue, but then this is pure white. So what's causing that? Even this looks like a triangular form, like it could be as well. Also, we've got, some type of shape or form kind of masked and hiding behind this too. So this could very well be an interdimensional craft. It actually kind of has almost a triangular shape. Or it could be a 3D craft with some interesting cloak on it. And this too behind, that's pure white, could be potentially some type of tech, being cloaked. Now in this scene, this is just called Active Colorful Sunset. We have, again, warm reddish tones, brighter, much brighter light happening up here, even though this is supposedly setting sun. So we're going to look at it with enhancement. And again, we just see how vibrant some of this color sweeps through, at the lower level. And yet it's really bright up here to the point where this almost looks like a triangular shape. But what starts to reveal through this enhancement is the choppy nature and fuzzy nature of this cloud areas. And when I say choppy and fuzzy, usually I've just coined a phrase myself calling this staccato cloud because it is choppy, it's a musical term, but it just reminds me of that. So even to the naked eye, things are choppy and fuzzy. It's not the camera, things are in focus. But also, look here, we start to see a capsule type shape, an ellipsoidal shape here. We also start to see a darker shadow of an arc here that looks, a little too symmetrical to be haphazard. So I'm going to say that this is either interdimensional craft cloaking or some type of tech up in the sky cloaked by this material. Okay, this one is called Red Peach Tinged Sunset. And I do have labeled A, B, and C here. And we're going to get to when we put, look at this with more enhancement or sometimes zoomed in. I'll put like 8.1 or 8.2, the further up or further enhancement that we put on a photo. You'll see in a second. But anyway, this is the original photo. What caught my attention was, the red tinged sky over here, but then also some strange activity seemed to be happening in here when you look at these lighter points. That's like an arc or half circle. This looks a little fuzzy like a tube. So we'll look at it with enhancement. Usually I can get really crisp detail. For whatever reason this time around things stayed a little fuzzy. But I think you can see a tube with an opening at the end here, and I'm not sure what disturbance is going on in here, but I venture to say it's some type of cloaking craft happening there beyond. We're going to look at it one more time zoomed in. So I've got A.2, B.2, and so on. So here's that little tube-like canister looking thing. So is this part of attached to a cloaking craft, and this is like cloaking craft, cloaking material over the craft, interfering or interlacing in there? I think that's what's happening. Or these could be standalone objects, I'm not sure. But to me, just my intuition is telling me again, after looking at a lot of these things closely over 2 years, that definitely there's some activity in there, and that is of the cloaking craft nature. Okay, this one gets very exciting. This is alluded to on the cover slide. This is called Plunging Sky Sphere Southwest at Sunset. So here we have this elongated object, and again, for many reasons, I'm going to call that cloaking craft, especially when we get to the enhancements. You may see why. And then we've got this undeniable sphere. It's a little lopsided, albeit, but look at, we got like a burst of energy vapor signature behind it, maybe. We've got this thing looks like it's just zooming down in. We've got a weird cutout opening in this cloud, so who knows what's going on in there. Just a lot of oddities happening in this overall scene. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement. And here we go. We start to pick up some interesting things. So there's a strange activity happening in here. This looks like it's self-illuminating in there, so that tells me there very well might be a craft in there. Also looking at the shape, this looks like the bow of something. Now, is this thing zooming out of the upper right-hand corner, coming down toward this thing? If it is, it's what it looks like, because it looks like the energy is being drawn with this thing through the atmosphere. But it's strange because then it just kind of hovers, and it looks like parts of this is coming up to greet it or secure it. It doesn't look like a threatening thing. Very strange. Then we've got this like perfect rectangle over here, outlined by what looks like cloaking material, or it's an opening. Just a lot of strange stuff. So as I always say on other shows, just if you take any of the photos I'm presenting to you and have a look on your own, you're probably going to see far more happening in the photo than I can call out, just for the time's sake in the show. Like, for example, here it looks like there is a triangle with cloaking material around its edges defining it, just hiding, in plain sight right there. So anyway, have a look around, see what you see. Also, what's going on with these like darker openings, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, have fun looking on your own, see what you can find out. Also, if you have any interesting angles on what you see that I haven't covered or called out, kindly let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so here's just another slightly different timing on this scene. And here it looks like almost like now it's lifting back up, whereas it was, trailing coming in. Looks like now it's getting lighter and lifting. And it looks like even some little object is like springing off of it here too, all in cloak. And there's an interesting shape here, ring-like shape. And then this thing gets more pronounced if you're following my cursor. And then we've got this weird line coming down. So again, I'm a little at a loss of what is the relationship of what's going on here. It looks like this object zoomed down in. It could be interdimensional, could be cloaked, 3D craft in there, or tech. But it definitely looks like it's coming down to meet some other type of cloaking craft down here below. See what you think. All right, this one's called Odd Clouds and Quotes and Cloaked Dome, West at Sunset. So I use clouds and quotes. just because that tells me there's probably, that reminds me that we're talking about very likely cloaking craft. So it's not just clouds, but something cloaked beyond it. So in this case, we've got some weird shapes. This could be a standalone craft. We've got some, again, looks like self-illuminating activity happening in here. And if you look at A into 8.1, that looks like a perfect dome. We go down to 8.2, we're zoomed in even further. And look at this. Not only is it symmetrical with a clean line, clean line with a little notch in it, it's very symmetrical. So that's not just a haphazard, cloud being formed. That to me definitely looks like something is being cloaked there and something with intelligent design. All right, this is Strange Sunset looking southwest. What caught my attention here was not only that we got some like much white, whiter looking atmosphere up here, but then we've got again warm glow like right around it. So what's happening here? And then we've got this warmer glow happening below, which is presumably the sun setting. But then look at how much territory it's taking. So a normal sun would only be, here, like about here with a glow. But it looks like it's extending all the way down here. So what could be going on there? And here's just with some enhancement to get a little better look. It just felt like we've got maybe multiple light sources happening in here. And again, if you've looked at any of my other shows previously, I do document that there's a quote-unquote second sun, or even third or fourth, that to the naked eye even we're starting to see additional planetary bodies, either celestial or artificial, orbiting around the sun, quote-unquote. And so do have a look there to see what I'm talking about in more detail. Okay, this one's just called Strange Sunset because, again, around the same time, this is time we're looking north. And just looking at these these look like wisps. I have another show with that covers pink air elementals, so I give the rundown on what I think these could be. Have a look there on that. But at the same time, we've got this direct horizontal formation of a quote-unquote cloud. So I do think that these wisps are different kind of air elementals or different entities than what we're seeing here. And again, if this is regular cloud, it wouldn't fray off like this, with these little fringes, whatever that is. So this has to be artificial cloud of some type, and more often than not, it's cloaking something. Here we go with some enhancement, just to draw out many, other things that might be going on at the same time. Here I see, very dark form, which is the perfect triangle. And again, we just see a little bit more of the character of this thing. We've got different type of cloud material in front of it. So yeah, this one's a little perplexing, but this definitely seems to be some type of artificial object being cloaked. And this seems like it could be more spirit-like in nature. See what you think. All right, this one's called Busy Sunset, and just struck me odd to just see this wild patterning with some cross shadows and just kind of things broken up at all different angles, light moving across this way, shadow this way, these weird ripple effects. It was just a very odd scene. So we're going to look at it with enhancement. You can see, just a lot of wild activity happening here. And then you start to see tracings of capsule-shaped forms, happening off along in here. And we're going to see some photos coming up that show that detail a little bit better. And here's one of them. So the left is the original, the right is the enhanced version of the same photo. And here you start to see these ellipsoidal shapes, capsule-shaped, this is like a truncated capsule. Just really strange. So see what you think could be going on in this scene. All right, this is called West at Sunrise, and the key is west. So there was no real pink-red glow happening opposing this to the east, and yet this cloud, was very red-pink, salmon pink on its own, so it's just strange. And here's with some enhancements so you can really see, the character of what I'm talking about. Just really stood out like a sore thumb, although it's beautiful. All right, this one is southeast at sunrise. So now we're shifting our eyes away from, where we were to the southeast. And again, when we put some enhancement on this photo, you just see an intense warm signature, happening through that area of the sky as well. There's also strange stuff kind of happening here in the sky with some ripple effects. So there could be electromagnetic wave activity happening up in here, which is always my sign and giveaway for cloaking craft, generating something up in the atmosphere perhaps. Okay, this one's called Northeast at Sunrise, so now we're shifting to the northeast. And here's some really strange activity. So not only do we get a warm reddish pink glow, in here, but immediately right next to it's pure white. So what's going on? How can we just have glow within this cloud where everything else surrounding it is not so much? We have a little bit up here. So what is causing this? And we get some ripples coming through here. It was just a very odd structure and patterning in the sky. See what you think that could be. Okay, now this one we're just calling northeast at sunrise. We're still looking there at a slightly different time. And I have a letter A here because we're going to take a look at what this dark object is. It could be poking out of the cloud or passing through it. We're going to see what's going on. And also in the meantime, there's a very odd color kind of glowing out of this cloud body. So we're going to put some enhancement on the photo to see what's going on here. And here you get a much better view of what's going on. And we're going to zoom in even further to see. So there's definitely something disrupting, or happening within this cloud body. There's a little hint of something happening here. And again, looking at these types of things long enough, over the past couple of years or more, just start to see that this looks like cloaking material, cascading over something happening here. So we're going to take a little closer look as well. We go to 8.2, and I'm just going to say, what is this object? Now, admittedly, there are mornings where there are a lot of gnats, these little insects that fly around, but this particular morning there weren't any. So it is slightly possible there could be some type of gnat, but I'm doubting it because there's also a bright white glow just around that little body. And when we go to 8.3, there's no evidence of wings, and usually if I do catch a gnat in a photo, and it's not often that I do, you do see at least a hint of wing forms, and you don't here. So I'll leave that up to you. The jury's out on that one, what that could be. I'm leaning toward it is some type of little foreign object, though. But see what you think. In the meantime, we've got some of this stuff glowing up, self-illuminating in different ways. So again, I got to say there's got to be some type of craft cloaking beyond there. And here's another view of that same area without that little object. And I say it's got to be a cloaking craft because we've got a clear trapezoidal shape here, a little crystalline outline of that. And then we have an overall luminous object happening here, which probably extends even back here, I'm going to say, because you see crystalline and white, light kind of poking out of this thing. We're going to enhance it, though, to get a better look. See, here we go. So you definitely see the trapezoid form here, and this is some type of overall object cloaking. And you even see parts of it, illuminating back here. Alright, this is just called Rippled Sky, East at Sunrise. Left is the original, right is the enhanced version. Look at all of this. Not only do we have cross-rippling here, we've got it within each of these little things. What the heck is going on in this sky? I tend to think this overall fuzzy portion might be a cloaking craft. There could be multiple cloaking craft here on different levels. But again, take the photo, and also what's going on in here. There's some interesting things like a sphere causing shadow. This is one of those, like the more you look, the more you're going to find. Even this could be some type of craft with the vapor trail behind it. See what you think. Take some time with it and enjoy. This is called Odd Cloud Cluster South at Sunset. Left is the original, right-hand slide is the enhanced photo. And I just noticed to the naked eye when we go back to the original photo, the longer you start looking at the sky, like I'm doing, you start to really pick it up with the naked eye that there's a reddish, or pink signature happening in there. And then sure enough, when we put enhancement on the photo, it becomes a little more obvious where that's happening and where that's generating. So this was just a perplexing kind of scene because I knew that, even looking here in the original, that's just not like a typical cloud form, especially with the way it's luminous. So I'm not really sure what's going on, especially we've got a little shape here, we've got a shape here, we've got these weird things, spokes like, I don't even know what you call these little rays, and poking up through here. So this is another one of those I'll defer to you to spend some time with. We got a little brighter, luminosity happening down here too. Just really odd. See what you think is going on. All right, well, this is our photo of the week and the close of the show. This image is of some Egyptian geese standing on a rooftop. So thank you for standing by here a while and walking through these slides with me. I wish you a gorgeous rest of your weekend if that's where you're at. And if you're already into your new week, may it bring you tremendous happiness and really good things. And in the meantime, I send you best wishes as always and tremendous peace. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.